At my daughter's wedding? She pointed at me and screamed, "I'm sick of you, just leave!" Her friends laughed, until I took the microphone. Her voice tore through the ballroom before I even understood what I had done wrong. Serenya stood in her silk gown, her face twisted, eyes blazing at me as if I were an intruder instead of her mother. Bridesmaids stared. Then one of them snorted a laugh. Another lifted her phone to record. A few guests whispered my name like it was something shameful. "Just go!" Serenya shouted again, stabbing the air with her manicured finger. "You ruin everything! I am done with you!" I felt something inside me flick, like a fuse burning out. For a moment, I could not hear anything except the ragged scrape of my own breath. Elindra May Hollis, 62 years old, widow, designer, mother, stood there while my daughter dismantled me in front of a full room of people. A groomsman muttered, "This is wild." And someone laughed softly behind a champagne glass. My palms prickled, but not from humiliation. Something steadier moved through me, something I had not felt in years. I stepped away from the stunned cluster of guests and walked toward the DJ booth. The DJ blinked at me, startled, but he handed me the microphone when I held out my hand. The ballroom noise flattened into a brittle hush. Serenya's face drained of color. Her new husband looked between us like he had no idea who he had just married. I lifted the microphone. My voice came out softer than theirs, but it carried, "If you are sick of me," I said, "then you will be relieved to know my presence is not the only thing leaving tonight." A ripple moved through the room. Chairs creaked. Breath caught. Someone dropped a fork. Serenya's bouquet sagged in her hand. For a full heartbeat. No one dared move. It was the first time in years my daughter actually listened to me. And then the world shifted. Because earlier that morning, before the shouting and the cameras, I had woken up believing I would spend the entire day quietly supporting her, the way I always had. I had no idea that before nightfall, everything between us would fracture beyond recognition. That morning felt like a different lifetime. That same morning, long before the ballroom and the shouting, I sat at my small dining table with Serenya's gown spread across my lap. A few beads had come loose along the waist, and I threaded a needle with the same steadiness I used when she was little and tore the hem of her school uniform. My hands shook more these days, but the stitches still held. "Mom, make sure it looks perfect," Serenya called from the hallway. Her tone was sharp, impatient. "The photographer arrives in less than an hour." "I am doing it now." I answered, "It will be ready." She stepped into the room, already made up, her hair sculpted into soft waves. She gave the dress a once-over. "Just do not make the beads too tight. I do not want anything looking bulky." I nodded and kept stitching. I had stitched through her entire childhood. After Marlo died when she was 9, odd jobs were the only way to keep us afloat in Savannah, altering blouses, mending costumes for school plays, fastening buttons at a little shop near the riverfront. She would sit at the table doing homework while I worked. At first, she bragged to her teachers that her mom could fix anything. Then came the private school scholarship. New friends, new expectations. A girl named Alyssa once said to her, "Your mom works with clothes like," actually sews things. The way Alyssa said the word sew made it sound dirty. Serenya stopped bringing her friends around after that. "Are you listening?" Serenya snapped now, snapping me back. "I am," I said quietly. Her bridesmaid Talia walked in, scrolling through her phone. "We should get going soon." "The girls are already downstairs." Serenya lowered her voice just a little, but not enough. "Just pray she does not embarrass us today," she murmured to Talia. My hands paused over the beadwork. The needle hovered above the fabric. I did not look up. I did not want her to see my face. Talia's eyes flickered toward me, cautious. Then she nudged Serenya's arm. "Let's go," Talia whispered. "She can hear you." Serenya clicked her tongue. Then she should be faster. They walked out, their heels tapping briskly, their voices fading as they headed down the stairs. I tied off the final thread, smoothed the gown, and folded it gently over my arm. A mother can swallow only so much before something inside starts to taste bitter. I arrived at the venue early, the gown folded over my arm and a small sewing kit tucked into my purse. I expected at least a nod of appreciation. But the wedding planner, a thin woman named Corliss, spotted me and sighed. "You are early." "Mrs. Hollis," she said, "we really do not have space for extra people backstage. Please stay to the side. I came to help Serenya with the gown." I replied gently. "There were loose beads." Corliss gave a tight smile. "Just stand over there, away from the mirrors." I stepped aside, holding the dress carefully. But her words landed hard. I had spent months helping Serenya plan the details she bragged about to her friends, yet here I stood, useful only when ordered. A few minutes later, I checked the seating chart on a clipboard near the entry, names in neat handwriting, grouped by family. I scanned once, twice, then again, slower. My name was not there. Corliss noticed my confusion. "If you do not see your card, you may be at one of the extended family tables," she said briskly. "It is all organized. I am the mother of the bride." I answered. She blinked, but did not apologize. "We can add a chair in the back row. It will be fine." I closed my mouth before anything escaped. As the bridal party gathered for photos, Serenya waved me over. "Stand here," she said, pointing to a spot near the edge. But before the photographer snapped the first shot, two bridesmaids exchanged looks. "Actually, let's put her out of this one." One whispered loudly, "We need the symmetry." They touched my elbow lightly, almost politely, guiding me out of the frame. I heard the camera shutter right as I stepped aside. Across the room, the groom's mother, Linda Payton, watched me with a cool, measuring stare. She said nothing, but the slight tilt of her chin told me exactly what she thought of me. Serenya glanced at my navy dress and forced a smile. "Mom, could you stay in the back for the rest of the photos? The color is drawing attention." I nodded. The dress had been my favorite, but in that moment, it felt like a mistake I should have never made. What happens when the person who built the foundation is treated like an inconvenience in the house she built? I found Serenya near the dressing room door, standing stiffly while two bridesmaids adjusted her veil. From where I stood, the lace had slipped slightly to one side. I stepped closer and lifted my hand. "Let me fix that," I said softly. "It is crooked on the left." Before my fingers reached the fabric, Serenya slapped my hand away. "Do not touch it," she hissed. "You always mess things up." Talia's eyebrows shot up. Another bridesmaid giggled behind her palm. I lowered my hand. "I only wanted to help." "Well, do not," Serenya snapped. "Just stay back." Her voice cut sharper than she intended, judging by the quick flicker of regret in her eyes. But she said nothing more, and the bridesmaids rushed to smooth the edges of the veil like I had never been there. As I turned to walk toward the hallway, a server carrying a tray brushed past me. "Ma'am, staff needs to stay behind the divider," he said briskly. "We cannot have workers mixed in with the guests. I am not staff," I replied. He blinked. "Oh, my mistake." He hurried away before I could say anything else. From the corner of the room, I heard the groom's father praising Serenya loudly. "Look at her composure," he said. "Such elegance. She is exactly what a wedding like this needs." His wife added, "She knows how to keep everything under control. It is impressive." Their voices rose deliberately, drifting toward me as if I were made of glass and they were tapping for cracks. Serenya stiffened again. She wanted to impress them more than anyone. Every gesture, every smile, every breath she took that morning had been choreographed for their approval, and every time I stepped near her, something in that perfect script faltered. What finally pushes a daughter to erupt against the only person who always chose her? The reception had barely settled into its rhythm when the moment broke open. Serenya stood near the sweetheart table, her bouquet clutched tight, her smile twitching each time a guest approached. I tried to slip past quietly, carrying a small bag of safety pins the planner had asked for. "Mom," she snapped, loud enough for nearby guests to turn. "Why are you wandering around? You are making everything chaotic." "I am only bringing what they asked for," I said. "Stop interfering," she shot back. "Just sit somewhere." Far away, a few bridesmaids exchanged glances. One of them lifted her phone, already recording. "I am only trying." Serenya's voice climbed in pitch. "You ruin things. Every time. I am sick of it." The room stilled for half a beat. Glasses froze halfway to lips. "I am sick of you," she repeated, louder, pointing at me like I was a stain on her dress. "Just leave the room, leave the wedding, get out." Someone let out a laugh near the bar, quick, sharp, uncomfortable. Another bridesmaid snickered behind her phone. A waiter muttered to a coworker. Chairs squeaked as heads turned. Hungry for drama, my hands trembled. Not from shock, not even from pain. Something deeper moved through me. Something that had been waiting far too long. I took one slow step forward, then another. "Where are you going?" Serenya barked. I did not answer. I walked past her, past the staring guests, past the cluster of bridesmaids who lowered their phones just enough to watch. I reached the DJ booth. The DJ hesitated when I held out my hand, but he placed the microphone in my palm with a small nod. The sound in the ballroom thinned into silence. I lifted the microphone. "If you are sick of me," I said, my voice steady, "then you will be relieved to know my presence is not the only thing leaving tonight. My wallet will not burden you again." A ripple shuddered across the crowd. The groom's mother clutched her pearls. The groom stared at me as if he had never seen me before. Serenya's bouquet slipped from her hand and hit the floor. I set the microphone down gently and walked toward the exit. When a daughter shatters her own mother publicly, something quiet and long-suffering finally learns how to stand. Chapter 6. The night. Everything unraveled. 300 words. I reached my apartment just after dusk. My phone was already vibrating nonstop inside my purse, but I set it on the counter without looking at the screen. The sound echoed through the small kitchen, call after call, message after message, but I let it ring. I filled the kettle and clicked it on. Another call, then another. I finally glanced at the screen. Serenya. Then the groom. Then Serenya again. A bridesmaid. A number I did not recognize. I pressed the phone face down and opened my folder of documents instead. The first contract was the honeymoon. I had paid the initial deposit myself months ago, using a credit line I preferred not to think about. I dialed the agency. "I need to cancel the upgrades on the reservation for Serenya Hollis Payton," I said calmly. "Yes, Mrs. Hollis," the agent replied. "You are the primary account holder. We can process that immediately." I hung up and called the caterer. "Remove the late-night dessert bar. I will not be covering the remaining balance." The photographer answered on the second ring. "Mrs. Hollis, are you calling about the premium delivery package?" "Yes," I said. "Cancel it." My hands moved without hesitation from one document to the next rehearsal dinner balance. Floral add-ons, venue extras. Every representative asked the same question. "You are the signer on the contract." "Correct." Yes, I told each one. Everything is under my name. A few minutes later, my phone rang again. This time it was the venue coordinator. Mrs. Hollis, she said, sounding confused. We received your request to adjust the payment schedule. We just need your confirmation since you are the sole contract holder for the ballroom. The confirmation is yes, I replied. When the last call ended, I finally lifted the kettle and poured hot water over the tea bag. The steam rose softly, warming my face. My phone kept flashing, trembling against the counter, but I let it shake. A strange, steady peace settled over me. What happens when the only person holding the financial foundation gently removes her hands by sunrise? My phone had finally gone quiet. But across town, at the hotel where the newlyweds had spent the night, everything was coming apart stitch by stitch. I learned later how it started. At 7 a.m, the caterer called Serenia. Your final payment declined. The manager said, "We need immediate resolution." What do you mean declined? Serenia snapped. My mother. Your mother canceled the authorization. Ma'am, minutes later, the honeymoon agency called. The upgrades are no longer active. The balance is unpaid. What balance? My mother was supposed. Your mother is the sole account holder. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Florist, photographer, venue coordinator, all of them saying the same thing: charges reversed, accounts frozen, contracts suspended. The groom, Kellen, sat on the edge of the bed, watching her unravel. What is happening? He asked. I do not know, Serenia cried. She is doing this to punish me. Before he could respond, his phone buzzed. A groomsman had sent a video. The clip showed Serenia pointing at me, voice sharp and shaking. I am sick of you. Just leave. The video had already been posted by a guest. By mid-morning, it spread across Savannah group chats. Comments flooded in shock, disapproval, disbelief. Kellen watched it silently, jaw clenched. This is how you spoke to your mom. She embarrassed me, Serenia said quickly. She does this all the time. Another buzz, this time from her best friend, Dana. A series of screenshots appeared, texts of Serenia calling me pathetic, calling my dress ugly, mocking the way I worked 2 jobs after Marlo died. You sent these? Kellen asked. Voice low. It was just venting. She whispered. Everyone vents. Kellen rose from the bed. Is this who you really are? Because I did not see any of this before yesterday. It was the stress. She insisted. Once she fixes the payments, she will not, he said. You screamed at her in front of 200 people. His parents knocked on the door soon after. Their voices were sharp, demanding explanations, demanding accountability. By noon, the applause from the night before had faded completely. When the applause fades, who is left standing beside you? And who finally walks away? By late afternoon, I heard hurried footsteps outside my apartment door, sharp, frantic taps that did not belong to any neighbor. A second later, someone pounded hard. Mom, open the door. Right now, I exhaled slowly and pulled it open. Serenia stood there with mascara smudged beneath her eyes, her wedding hair half fallen. Still in the silk robe from the hotel, she pushed past me before I could speak. I cannot believe you. She burst out. You humiliated me. You ruined everything. I closed the door gently. Sit down. Serenia. No, you do not get to tell me to sit. She paced, trembling. The caterer says you canceled the payments. The florist said the same. The honeymoon upgrades are gone. My in-laws are furious. Kellen will not even look at me. I folded my hands. I handled the contracts. I handled the payments. And I handled the cancellations. Why? Her voice cracked. Why would you do that to me? You told me to leave. I said, I left, including financially. She stopped pacing. You need to fix it. Call them. Pay the balances. You owe me that. I owe you nothing, I said softly. Not after last night. She stared, stunned. So that is it. You are going to destroy my marriage before it even starts. I am not destroying anything, I answered. I am stepping out of what I was never thanked for. She tried a different tone, then sweet. Pleading, Mom, please. I was stressed. Everyone was watching. I did not mean it. If you love me, you will help me one last time. I have helped you for 30 years, I said. You made it clear my presence shames you. I will not fund a life where I am treated like a stain. She sank onto the edge of the couch, her breath shaking. Kellen will not talk to me, she whispered. He said he will not come home until I apologize to you publicly. He wants me to fix it. He thinks I am cruel. I sat across from her. What do you think? She lifted her head, eyes full of panic. Mom, please, call them, please. I stood and opened the front door, not wide, not inviting, just enough for her to step out when she was ready. What does forgiveness look like when trust has been stripped down to bone in the days that followed? Quiet became something I no longer feared. It settled around me like a soft blanket. Not a punishment, but a choice I had finally earned. I woke early each morning and brewed my coffee without waiting for a phone to ring, a request to appear, or a crisis to solve. A week after the wedding, I walked into the admissions office at the Savannah College of Art and Design and filled out the form for a textile arts course. The woman behind the counter looked up. First time enrolling in decades, I said. But yes, she smiled warmly and slid the schedule toward me. Welcome back to yourself. The words stayed with me. On Thursday, I took the riverfront walk I had put off for more than 10 years. The air carried enough humidity to cling to the skin, but I did not mind. I stopped at a small stall where a young artist sold hand-dyed fabrics. She lifted a swatch toward me. Do you work with textiles? She asked. I used to. I answered. I am beginning again. Good. She said. You have steady hands. They are made for detail. I thanked her and continued walking, letting the sound of distant conversation and boat horns drift past me. Silence fit into my life easily now. It came without guilt, without the pressure to fill it with excuses or apologies. Meanwhile, the consequences of the wedding spread through Savannah faster than any gossip I had ever witnessed. The honeymoon agency informed Serenia the cancellation was permanent. The venue demanded full payment for the remaining balance before releasing any documents. The photographer sent her a message. Images will be delivered after the outstanding invoice of $1,800 is paid in full. Her in-laws withdrew their promises of support, explaining to someone in mutual circles that they could not attach themselves to a person who disrespects her own mother publicly. And Kellen moved out of their apartment for a while. I need space. He told her, I cannot pretend nothing happened. The online clip of the outburst kept circulating in neighborhood groups. Every few hours, someone sent me a link, asking if I had seen it. I had not. I did not need to. One quiet evening, while I was pinning a fabric sample to my practice board, my phone buzzed. A single message from Serenia appeared. Mom, you look happy in the photo Dana posted. I hope I can learn how to be better. I held the phone for a moment, feeling neither triumph nor anger, just a steady, calm acceptance. When a mother finally chooses herself, what kind of woman is she free to become? I set the phone aside, returned to my work, and let the fabric catch the light. The day she tried to silence me was the day I finally found my own voice.